Virginians have always stood at the crossroads of the fight for freedom. It is a battle in which we all reap the benefits.
And of course, Pearl Harbor was in December of that year. And after Pearl Harbor, everybody became chauvinistic, very patriotic. They wanted to serve their country. And of course, we as nurses wanted to serve the country. I, upon graduation, had become a Red Cross nurse, so I thought I was really prepared. And when I heard that the University of Pennsylvania unit was looking for nurses, I thought that would be a marvelous opportunity and I should volunteer. It took us 42 days to cross the ocean because we were chased by submarines, and we finally got around to the west coast of India. Then we crossed over India in a narrow gauge railroad, 10 days it took us. Then we went on the Brahmaputra River, and from there with trains and then trucks, and finally we got 1,000 miles above Calcutta in the jungle. Had a telephone call from our chief's office asking if I would go to Korea. And of course, I don't think I heard very much about Korea. But I said, of course, I reported for duty because, they gave us a date, and that meant you had to be there. You weren't 1 day late or 1 hour late. So that was the real Army. I went to Vietnam in 1965, 1968, and in 71. We took care of the soldiers who were building Lido Road. We took care of the soldiers who were fighting the Japanese, particularly Merrill Marauders, and also those pilots who were flying what we knew then as the hump over the Himalayas. So we were quite busy giving care to those patients. I loved them all. We moved quickly because the fighting was quite severe in that area. They needed to take care of our patients, so we set up a hospital and a school. It was so cold that we wore men's clothing, we wore women's clothing, pile jackets. Then we had our gown, the white gown, the surgical gown. But the doctors would open an abdomen, well, then the steam would just come right out. I think we had 700 patients evacuated to us that night, one night. If we had 3 to 4 hours sleep a night, we were very, very fortunate. CBS was there making some photos and listening to the patient, and you could hear the saw going, and all of a sudden it stopped. He had died. And I remember saying to the CBS representative, don't destroy that. Take that back home and show it so they can see how brave our soldiers are. In Vietnam, in the early days, when we just had one hospital, until when I was chief in 1968, when I visited, we had 25 hospitals in Vietnam, over 916 Army nurses. To think that they were over there working as hard as they were working in the line of fire, because we did have 10 nurses or 9 nurses in the Army and 1 in the Air Force killed in Vietnam. And here we had back home the protest to them. Although I don't think it affected their type of care that they gave the patient. I don't see how a nurse could possibly give anything but the very best of care to a patient. We didn't know what was going on in Europe. When we got a letter, it was always censored. So we didn't even know at the time that the European war had ceased. In July of 1945, I was evacuated home. Well, if you were up front, you got 4 points a month. If you were in the combat area where there was really fighting, if you were back a little further, you got 3 points a month. And if back further, 2 points. If you're way down, it poofs on 1 point a month. So if one could accumulate 28 points, you were able to go home. And so we got our 28 points in 7 months because we were up there where the fighting was. This is something that had never happened before. You know, a female was going to become a general officer. I was fortunate enough to be the one to be selected, and very, very proud to do so. It was a great day. Not just for me, just think, it honored, not me, but it honored all those nurses who had worked, you know, Revolutionary period, the Civil War, the World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. They were all honored when they were able to have a general officer, as we would say, lead the troops.